look at his record.
Yeah.
It was like win, and you see where it
Yeah.
happened.
When he got knocked out.
Yep.
Oh, that was rough. That was rough. So this weekend, Anderson Silva fought Uriah Hall, and he got to the fourth round. Got TKO'd in the fourth round.
Minute 24
in, and he said, "I don't want to say this is my last fight because I'm emotional. I'm gonna go home and then I'll make a decision later." That's really smart on him, because that being emotional in that moment has ruined a lot of, not ruined, but like hurt a lot of legacies. You know, and the biggest one I've had was the BJ Penn one, when he lost to was it Nick Diaz? But Nick Diaz beat him up, and he was crying and saying he doesn't do this in front of his family anymore, and he just seemed so broken.
Hey, no, it's official.
He did it. He officially did it.
Yeah, after a day removed from the event, it seems Silva is now saying goodbye to the sport as a whole.
Okay.
Good morning, my people. Today is a different day for a simple reason. Say goodbye to an entire life dedicated to my sport. Yesterday was so special. I went to do what I love. I didn't imagine that I would be happy as I am now. Even defeat, I'm feeling at peace. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart, my team, my family, my friends, and everyone who watched. And everyone who thank you from the bottom of my heart, and everyone who watched the fight know that it was always great honor to fight all these years with your support. I want to thank God for granting me the gift to fight. Thank you for my people, all understanding, for all the support, those amazing moments that we live in our sports together. I hope I left in a memory in the heart of each of you little of who I am, that you can overcome difficulties every second of uncertainty and overcome obstacle in your lives. Never think about giving up as hard as things get to at any point. No, and I leave you all my love and all my respect for you. Strength and honor always, God. So, yes, official.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's officially done. He's officially retired.
Wow. Well, I mean, he had an amazing career, man.
Crazy, right?
Amazing career, and he could have, I think he could have been a 2-belt champion if he really wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did it out of respect for Machida, because Machida was a champion around the same time he was, and then he was still going for it. Like, I think it was more of a love thing on his part why he didn't do it. But, it needs to be done.
What was that, a 16-win streak, belt defense?
Yeah, he's tied for the most wins in the UFC. And then, I forgot he has some crazy stats. But it's hard to watch someone you grew up with getting beat up like that.
Yeah, right? It's hurtful. It's like growing up and Superman's your idol.
Mm-hmm.
And then you tune into the the dark side. Was it not the dark side episode? The what was the villain that beat the brakes off Superman with just throwing hands?
Oh,
Doomsday.
Yeah,
Superman's your idol, and then you tune in to Justice League for that week, 3:30 p.m. You just fresh out of school, and you see Superman get beat for 24 minutes with a few commercial breaks in between. You're like, come on.
And when especially his only power is not getting beat up.
All right, man.
That's his whole power, is not losing fights and not getting hurt. Then you see him get beat to death.
Yeah, that's how I felt like watching Anderson. Because like anytime you watch him lose, because even when I look on, he's been on he's lost his last 3 fights.
Mm-hmm.
He won against Derek Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
Then he lost 2 fights. Then one was a no contest to Nick Diaz. Then the other going back to 2 was to Chris Weidman. So even watching those losses in the back of your head, and this was for me, I'm like, no, he's still one of the greats. Like this doesn't ruin his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much he's been pummeled, walked away with black eyes. Like it's still in my head. I'm like, no, he's still Superman. He's still the baddest on the planet, because he did something, especially in that time. Nobody was doing that when I started watching UFC. Nobody was doing that.
No, nobody. The showmanship, the stances, the way his fighting style, and then still being able to danger in the ground, still tapping people out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not wanting to go down there, but can have the ability to.
Mm-hmm.
Being a black belt and just his striking being he's knocked people out backwards.
Ridiculous, with the most crazy angles, and he was so quick, and like it was almost supernatural how he was dodging these seasoned fighters. Like I know argument can always be think of like what messed him up the first time was hands down And, you know, as martial artists, that's like rule number one. You keep them hands up no matter how good you are. But it's hard to argue that because he was doing it.
And he was taking shots. He was taking shots too. Like he was eating punches and slapping his face. And
he was on a 16-win streak fighting professional fighters with his hands down. So it's like, that's like telling me don't procrastinate. And I keep getting A's by procrastinating.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard for me to kind of change that.
So does this knock him out the GOAT status?
It don't. Not for me. It can't. It can't.
Because he's what, 34-11.
Yes.
You take the 7 losses he had since his first loss to Chris Weidman out. That means he's 34-4. That's enough to be GOAT, you think?
That's enough. That's enough. Especially the 16 belt title defense.
Yeah.
I can't. Who else is like he's tied? Who's he tied with?
John.
That's a freak of nature.
Actually,
is it John?
No. I think Anderson has a 16-fight win streak. Is the win streak.
Okay.
I think the title defense is 12, and John Jones is tied. John Jones has it, and he's tied with GSP. I think Anderson only defended 10 or 11.
Yes. Okay. Stephen Bronner wasn't a title defense. I don't know why.
There's a couple of those fights in there, those win streak fights, he was at a higher weight.
Oh, okay.
He went to 205.
Okay.
So and then he didn't have he cleared his division. So he went through long periods of time not having won the fight down in his division, and then those two that Chael fight took a year and some change to come together.
In 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, saw it. Okay.
So he has the longest win streak I think in the UFC, but title defenses is still John Jones and GSP.
And you know what? And I'm gonna bring race into this because it's important. It's a lot of like black fighters I know. Like Uriah Hall has said it. Israel has said it. Who's old dude?
Rashad Evans.
Rashad Evans.
Yeah.
Even DC. I believe DC has referenced in even his commentary about like Anderson Silva, what he means for like to be a black like fighter. Even though I know he's Brazilian, but you know his skin is dark. He's he still can be considered as a black man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, winning like that and being a face has really helped these people kind of grow up and saying like I can do that. And the only reason I think of Israel because Israel has made a statement that Israel has always been Israel Adesanya, just for y'all that you want to look it up just in case you don't know. He's if you're a casual watcher of MMA, he's one of the people that said that Anderson showed him that he can be a skinny, small black guy and still be dominant. Yeah. Because if you look at Anderson Silva, even during that time period, I mean, he's lean. He's in shape, so, but he's not like
he's never been overly muscular, man.
No.
By any means.
And he's knocking people. He was knocking people out.
Yeah. He showed that speed and accuracy will be power like majority of the time.
Yeah.
All of the time, apparently.
Yeah. Right.
To him.
Statistically.
And then some of these losses, he's only, and people give him like some like, and now you said it, like, opposite of Jared Connier, I don't know who that was, but he lost to Chris Weidman, who was a champion,
mm-hmm.
Michael Bisping, who was a champion, Daniel Cormier, who was a 2-belt champion,
mm-hmm.
Israel, who's a champion, Uriah Hall, who just has stupid power, who was a bright spot for a while before he had his issues. Uriah Hall is someone who just never lived up to what he could have been.
Yeah, well, he was compared. I saw an article that he was the one doing when he was inside. I think he was in UFC. Like, wasn't he like on a show?
He was so he was an Ultimate Fighter. So
okay.
UFC that if you guys ever see that it's a knockout Ultimate Fighter. Look up just Ultimate Fighter knockout. It's gonna be a wheelhouse kick where he kicks the guy, breaks his jaw, and the guy like won't wake up. So he's out for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and he won't get up. And it's like probably the most brutal thing you've ever seen in your life. And people like really, they were terrified of him on that show.
Well, that's one of the statements. They compared him to the next Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put that title on him that early in his career, which is not they don't throw that around frequently. That's not thrown away. Just a whole just whatever. So. For them to compare this to him, like Uriah Hall, I looked him up because honestly, I'm gonna be like real. I followed him a little bit when he won against Anderson. I decided to look him up and do a little more research, And I'm like, this kid hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes one shot. And that's scary in middleweight.
Yeah. But you're at that point in middleweight where you're still kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone has better technique, then you're not going to beat them.
He did start that. He's a slow starter.
Yeah. And that's been his problem because, he's lost to Chris Weidman in the first round. Kevin Gastelum, who was a contender,
Yeah, he's not consistent.
Rafael Natal, who was a contender. He lost to Rob Whittaker, who's a champion. Derek Brunson, who was a contender. Paulo Costa, who just contended. He can't get over that top 5 hump.
Yeah.
To be, in the title contention.
Yeah, he only does his last 3 win streak was that 2013, 14, and 15. So he's on a 3 win streak again from 18, 19, and 20. So that we got Bevin, Antonio Carlos Jr., Anderson Silva. So if his 4th fight is gonna can you get on a fight? You're right. Can you get on a 5 streak? Mm-hmm. Can you for the belt?
We have to start fighting more than once a year to be relevant. Because if anybody showed anything, is being popular get you title shots.
You're more exposure you got.
Getting popular get you title shots. Masvidal, just being
freak of
popular.
nature.
Just being popular got him a title shot. You know what I mean? Gray Maynard, he had a 9-10 fight win streak before he got his first title shot against Frankie Edgar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And John Fitch, your old school fighters.
The Beast.
Yeah. Yeah, Derek Lewis just got title shot just because he's popular.
Yeah, his what's his how he got popular? He was like, man, I'm tired.
My nuts are hot.
Yeah, my nuts are hot.
My nuts are hot.
Him being popular and that little push, people started looking at him like, you know what? Yeah, let's give him a shot. Because I remember even at the end of it, he said, I want a title shot.
Yeah.
He said no. They said, what's the next title? He said, no, man. That's not it. No, I ain't trying to fight this title. But then the next thing you know, he was fighting DC.
Yeah. But, but at the end of the day, man, we're just, Anderson Silva's always going to be one of the greats.
One of the GOATs. I don't care how many times. I don't care if he fights for another 20 years. He can lose every fight, but he'll still be one of the GOATs.
Yeah, because when he was up, he was up.
And I think it's more than just his wins. He's influenced so many young fighters.
Kind of. And then this takes me to our next topic.
Here we go.
Because he went up to middleweight like a man. Went to light heavyweight like a man.
Like a man.
And beat the shit out of Forrest Griffin, who was a much bigger man than he was.
Yeah.
And he did it whenever he wanted to go up to the middleweight. So when you have the current middleweight champion, who's been actively
Israel Adesanya.
Actively saying, I can't fight John yet.
He's fought over 100.
I don't want to go up there yet. I'm not ready for that.
But look, hear me out, bro. Anderson never had to fight himself going up. Israel is literally trying. The argument is Israel and John Jones. Both of them are freaks of nature.
We didn't know Forrest was that bad until he fought him, though. Forrest
was my favorite
at the time. Forrest was a kind of a monster figure in that division.
Forrest was popular and a monster.
He was a monster in that division. So when he fought him, then we were like, oh, maybe he's not as bad as we thought he was.
When he couldn't get out of that Muay Thai clinch.
Yeah, I kept getting his head.
I think that turned every camp into training to get out the Muay Thai clinch. And shame. I know this is outdated. Shame on his camp. Shame on his camp for him fighting a Muay Thai fighter and they not teaching him how to get out of the Muay Thai clinch.
It wasn't popular. The guys back then. You only had 3 guys doing it. It was Shogun, Vanderlei, and Anderson Silva.
Yep.
Nobody else was doing that shit back then. You know what I mean? No one was clinching. No one was doing that Muay Thai shit.
Bro,
you had boxers and the traditional karate guys and kickboxers. You Chuck Liddell's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You weren't, everyone else who was in that. And everyone else in that division, if you look at the division at the time, was Rashad Evans, Rampage, Randy Couture, Machida. These guys are all boxers or just straight up strikers.
Straight brawlers, yeah.
You know what I mean? Vanderlei and Shogun were one of the few people that actually started grabbing by the head, and you're like, "Whoa, fuck!
Whoa, what do I do now?"
Yeah, what do I do now?
Man, and I think that's if you guys ever want to look at it, if you're just tuning in and being a fan of the mixed martial arts, the Anderson Silva Forrest Griffin fight, it was devastating. The knees, he got him in the Muay Thai clinch, and then just devastating with knees to the body, knees to the head, knees to the body, knees to the head, and there was no answer.
Yeah.
There was no answer. But I mean, keeping on topic is that
Then knocked him out going backwards.
Yeah.
Knocked him out walking backwards. But you know what? You know who else did that?
Who?
Connor.
It's true.
Knocked out Jose going backwards off one punch.
That's true.
10 seconds into the fight.
It's true. But you also know who knocked somebody out with one punch? Sugar Shane. I'm sorry, y'all. Sugar was what's his name? Sugar Shane Mosley?
No.
Mobley.
I forgot his last
Sugar
name.
Shane Robinson.
I hate him. So
I don't know. He just goes by Sugar. I don't even know if I'm gonna call him Sweet now, but he let me down because he was smacking people, and I make that sound effect because that's how it sounded when he was punching people. But I want to get off topic.
Yeah.
Jones.
O'Malley. There it was.
Yeah, O'Malley. It seems like he hits hard, right? But back on topic. We going back. Okay, Israel not wanting to fight Jones. I understand. Look, Jones, out of Jones' career, he's had 2 questionable losses, and it's both went to decision. Nothing has been close enough where he almost was a stoppage or almost got knocked out.
Oh, you talking about 2?
I'm talking about Israel saying he doesn't want to fight Jones.
John's only had 2 questionable wins, you mean?
Yeah, 2. Yeah, you're right. 2 questionable wins.
Okay. The first Gustafsson fight and then the Reyes fight.
The Reyes fight. Yep.
Yeah, it's technically 3. The Santos fight was close. It was close until he blew out his knee.
Okay.
He was losing that fight until he blew out his knee, and then
I forgot about that fight. He was. So I have 3 questionables. So even with that, is that he's still considered like he is automatically, people have compared him to Anderson Silva of how he fights and strikes and how he wins and dominates. And I think it's scary for Israel, being a young kid, to want to fight somebody that's like Anderson Silva in his prime. I don't think Israel's a young kid, and I think to the point that he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't risk his streak. I think he wants to be safe. I'm gonna be real with you. I think he wants to be safe, and if he fights John Jones, it's gonna be something where he has been in this division for a while because he's just started winning in UFC. He's only had 2 defenses.
yes,
yeah. So he doesn't even had a good reign yet. So I think he wants to submit that.
Well, he doesn't have any, like, his division's weak. Israel has the weakest division in UFC. I wholeheartedly believe that. I wholeheartedly
4 title defenses.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
I
He
agree
has
with
the
that.
worst division in UFC.
Middleweight is lacking. Middleweight is not like what it used to be.
And like if you look at John Jones's record or just his fights, he fought Brandon Vera, who was a contender, Bader, who was a Bellator champion, Rua Shogun, who was a UFC champion,
And
Quaden,
legend.
who was a Rampage a UFC champion,
Legend.
Machida was a champion,
Legend.
Rashad Evans was a champion,
Legend.
Vitor Beltor was a champion.
All of these people he's naming is going to go down.
They're going to Hall of Fame.
They're going to Hall of Fame.
Chael Sonnen, who was a champion.
He's going to Hall of Fame.
Alexander Gustafsson was number 1 contender for the last 4 years.
Yep.
Glover, who was a number 1 contender in middleweight and light heavyweight. Daniel Cormier, two belt champion. Daniel Cormier, well, no contest because he got popped the second time.
Them drugs.
And then Gustafsson again, but that was more dominant. And then the last 3 were up in the air with Thiago Santos and Dominic Reyes. Like,
so, but that's what I'm saying. The fear, man. Israel has had 4 title defenses.
but then don't answer him. Like, my thing is, don't make it a size thing, and then the same year he drops the belt and goes away, you hop up to that weight class and you fight the champion. You know what I mean? Like, you know how bad, and like you're not even giving the champion. Oh, they're not. You don't give the champion even a chance to defend the belt because Jan just won the belt. He hasn't defended yet in his own division.
No.
And you're already talking about, because you're jumping on a situation for someone who's never defended the belt, and you're trying to get him before he gets comfortable being a champion. You're trying to catch him while he's still like more behind the ears.
He's trying to
capitalize on a weak situation, which is petty. Like wait till.
When we gonna put some responsibility on Dana? Dana petty.
You don't think Dana tried to get him to fight John?
No, I know he did, but I think that there should have been more pushback because that fight doesn't have to happen.
No.
Dana has control to stop that fight and
Yes.
say no. You need to do it. Like Jan winning your division, and let's talk about this in the future because let's at least see you can defend your. You know, let's be a certified real champion. I know Jan has won before; he's a former champion, but I mean, it's kind of uncomfortable to me that I see it as a money grab on Dana's part, and I'm on your side, bro, with that. Is that Israel is avoiding John for the wrong reasons that he's giving us. He's avoiding John because he doesn't want to lose, and John is intimidating fighter. But he wants to hop on Jan because he looked at the fight, looked at the tapes, and he's like, oh, I can beat him. So now he's trying to cement himself as a GOAT already because if he beats Jan, now we got a 2-belt champion.
Because you look at everyone else has done it. They're cleared the divisions.
Yep.
You know, like Henry Cejudo really cleared his division before he hopped up to the second belt. Nunes really cleared her division. She cleared both divisions to the point where she has no one to fight right now.
DC
cleared his division. He cleared light heavyweight.
Yep.
Conor really cleared his division before he went and got the second belt. Like
with the female woman fighter,
Nunes.
Yeah, Nunes.
Yeah, she really cleared her division and really has no one else to fight. You know what I mean? And
then it makes sense where that's like, hey, you've proven it, you've had multiple time events, you've cleared your division. Now it's time to get you a super fight.
Yeah,
I think it's a wrong idea to give. I love Israel, so me saying about this because I'm automatically biased to Israel. I think it's a wrong decision for him to go up and try to fight Jan because he could win. He could win against Jan. But Jan could hit him with one good one because if you guys have not watched the fight, I don't know if that's public knowledge or public video clips or anything. Jan versus Reyes, Jan kicks like if you can imagine a 2x4 reeling into a side of
like a hanging pig or
a
something.
hanging pig, like just some good meat. That is what Jan does. He hits so. I mean, it's terrifying how the strength of this man and the shots that he can take.
Yeah, you can Google it. Let's Google Reyes's ribs, and it'll show that fucking giant bruise and lashing on his back from that fucking kick.
And just want to clarify from my brother Torrance. Notice that he said from that kick. So that was one kick, guys.
Yeah.
One kick bruised this man. This one that fights at light heavyweight weight. And he has more meat and muscle definition than Israel. I don't see Israel checking them. He won't be able to check them.
Well, I don't think. And the thing is, I think Israel walks around at 205, 210. So he's not cutting any weight to make a weight. I think Jan walks around like 230, 240. So it's like the only thing if he can survive the storm, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he'll do okay. But then you have to stop him because I think Jan has enough conditioning to really put on the pressure for the first 3 rounds, maybe in the 4th. And
if Izzy can survive it,
because I think that's what killed Gastelum when he fought because that was a really close fight. But Gastelum, because the only reason he got the knockdown in the 5th round because Gastelum was done.
Yeah, he was gassed.
He has he's had trouble with the gas tank. You know what I mean? And you know, if he can survive the last round with Izzy, he'll win the fight.
I don't think it's gonna make it to. I'd be scared. I'd be surprised if it comes out of the 2nd round.
You think Jan can finish him in the 2nd?
I think they're gonna come out both aggressive.
I don't think Izzy comes out aggressive. He doesn't come out aggressive.
No, he doesn't. But if Jan, see, that's the thing. You're right. I retract my statement because Izzy doesn't come out aggressive, and Jan is not gonna come out aggressive because I feel like Jan's not coming aggressive because Jan doesn't want this kid to knock him out. Because it's embarrassing.
It is.
It's embarrassing if you let this kid that talk, and Izzy talks mess, and I hate that about him personally. He talks a lot of mess. Like when he beat, who did he just beat? Who the guy he just beat?
Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa. I mean, when I talk about Paulo Costa, when I talk about devastating loss, that whole matchup leading up to the Israel and Paulo Costa, I mean, they insulted each other. They insulted. Paul talking about the dude, Izzy all small and tiny. He gonna, run into. He's gonna get these problems. I mean, it was personal when Izzy beat him and knocked him out, and then humped him.
Disrespectful.
I mean, he humped the man. He humped this man before walking around, parading around, and then began to talk about this for 3 or 4 weeks on social media. He may still be talking about it. I haven't checked his Instagram lately.
I think he probably is still talking about
it. When I say, the fight is over, no one cares. My man's is still talking about how he beat him. So he has I keep calling him a kid because he just reminds me. He reminds me of a young man that's strong, but will talk you to death to let you know that I'm the greatest. I'm amazing. I still love you, Izzy. So if you ever hear this ever hear this or watch this, I still love you. But
I don't.
You got to give it to his ability.
No, he's great. He's a great
personality.
Fighter.
He is kind of
great fighter, but I mean, you got a weak resume. He's talking about he can end up being the greatest ever.
Mm-hmm.
You got a weak resume, bro. You got to fight some champions. You got to fight other people that has the belt.
He needs longer. I ain't gonna lie. He needs longer.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna wrap it up though. We just wanted to touch on some points for you guys and stay in front of this. So we got a lot of fights coming up.
We got to stay on this.
Yeah, the next big one. I don't know what the next big one is actually.
Yeah, what is this coming up?
Let me see.
In 6 months is gonna be definitely a super fight, so we're gonna definitely have some conversation about that.
Well, I think the next real big one is Thiago Santos is back. The guy that almost beat John.
Oh.
That's next week. He's fighting Glover Teixeira, the guy who almost beat Anderson Silva. So,
all right, so there we go.
All right, but yeah, so we'll keep up you guys in date and do these little short videos. We like talking about it. We enjoy. We're fighters at heart. This is our childhood ninjas coming out.
Yes.
So shadow style.
Shadow style. Cloned you too. All right.
I'm Eagle the Humble Bragger. This is IbeFriction.
We be out.
No time to explain, baby.